Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Lucid, and we're back with another episode of Mountain Arena. Um, last episode we had the big fight between TNG and Micklin. Something we've been waiting for about like 30 turns. Finally happened, and to put it quite frankly, Micklin didn't really even let TNG play Dominions. Um, he cheesed the shit out of the army. He bone grindinged it in the magic phase. Winter wolved the fort to make it cold, then murdering wintered it. There was very little left for Micklin to actually mop up with his army. And for those of you who've watched my series on Atlantis, which went like very deep in the late game, this is not that deep in the late game, but there's a thing that can kind of happen in Dominions in the late game where like people tend to kind of sit in their forts, and some of that is because people get like bored or tired or low energy. But another part of that is because you can get punished so heavily for exposing a big, beautiful stack like TNG did on top of a fort, especially filled with human mages. So people don't want to expose it. So anyway, that's kind of that meta. And I think that battle last turn was a pretty good showing of one of the reasons why it's dangerous to expose armies like that, why it's dangerous to be aggressive. Because, for example, while they could both have murdering wintered or flames from the sky to each other's armies, that wasn't something only Micklin could do. TNG could have done that to Micklin. Only Micklin could magic phase drop on the army and then take a battle in the normal phase. If TNG had done it in reverse, the magic phase would have hit like Micklin's fort or whatever. So anyway, one TNG Doom stack down. It went better than I expected with the demonic cleansing caster running in the bone grinding phase. Unfortunately, he can probably field another 1 to 2 armies like that. And I doubt I'll be able to repeat this approach. Repeat this approach next time, so I need to capitalize on the victory. Unfortunately, I've made a significant error. I didn't cast Breath of the Desert at Yomi's fort. This might have been a better choice than bringing my Pretender. And so it's called 3. And while my army's properly equipped to resist flames from the sky, a lot of the high-value stuff cannot endure murdering winter better than like a 70% chance. So chances are someone cast that at the province, and I take some pretty significant mage losses this turn. Sigh. I think the right play is to storm the Throne of Knowledge this turn, with some extra annoying scripting to manage it, probably including turn 1 Astral Healing to try to prevent key mages from routing instantly. I'm guessing Yomi rides out. I use my Dione to warm the province this turn, at least. Okay, that way he's not going to get Murdering Wintered twice in a row. I hit Enchantment 8 this turn. Time to turn 250 Death Gems into Discount Liches. I've used the 30% discount site a good amount, saving about 20 Death on my Mound Kings, 24 Fire on Eternal Pyre, 15 Nature on Gift of Health. But that's actually just like 1.5 gems a turn over the 40 turns I've held the site. Not a big deal compared to a site that just gave me more gems. That's a really good point. Like a lot of the globals, you can buy like, save so many gems casting it. A lot of times not, right? Like, a lot of times just having more gems is better. Because the discount doesn't apply to the overcast, and especially as you get into like the late mid game, a lot of the gems you spend on globals isn't the base cost; it's the overcast part, which it doesn't affect much. So yeah, the things I think it's better for is like summoning units, where you're like, I'm going to turn 400 gems into some kind of mage or unit, and then yeah, it's going to matter a lot. So anyway, good point here. I'm about to save 100 death over the next 4 turns on Liches and to use in Rigor Mortis fighting with TNG. And that is a big deal. I considered trying to cast Will of Misery, but it might get dispelled. I think the Immortals are a better investment given the time horizon in which I should be trying to win. The 20% Conjuration discount site has also been of modest benefit. I think I saved like 30 Nature on Jaguars, 20 Nature on Vine Ogres, 15 blah, 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 blah. So about 90 gems over 45 turns, about 2 gems a turn. Maybe the situation will change if I steal Gifts of Health back to do Tartarians or something. But given I only have Conjuration 5 right now, I'm hoping to win before that comes up. In contrast, the Steel Ovens has been saving me about like 20 gems a turn. I'm forging a lot of gear, and that is only accelerating as I manage to try to ferry more mages to provinces. And And also, TNN moved 43 mages to Province 56 this last turn to kill one rogue Oracle of the Dead. Maybe they're on their way home, but it seems like an extraordinary waste of mage turns. Yeah. Don't see any other action. Ooh, sorry, guys. Don't see any other action from the elves here. Some base horror rating. This looks like Vortex of returning. Micklin rolls up with a big army. Yomi says, peace! Take the throne, we don't need it. Alright, so that's his turn. Yomi peaced out. Let's take one last look at this thing with Yomi here. I want to see if these guys look damaged. No, they all look full health. So no Murdering Winter was cast. I think that's about it. Let's go to the next turn. All right, we got turn 75 here. Message from Micklin. Well, either TNG is using an army-sized hiding items, or more likely, they just really brought everything they had to their south. All but one of the ports I can see now, after my horror rating, appears to be completely empty. I'm going to use Crumble to try to one turn pop one of the wizard towers this turn. Taking it should allow me to continue pushing my lab network logistics deeper to the east towards the Yomi throne. The next Yomi throne. If I can grab that one, it'll bring me up to 5 thrones. So it's almost time for the Waywoods army to march. I think this is the big army between TNG and Micklin. My besieged fort in Province 4 has just enough units in it to make army-size items seem impressive. And more importantly, no labs. I'm short on gems, so I don't want to bring a large force there this turn and possibly have to retreat them back to the lab at the throne. So I'm just going to ping and defend the throne against Lanka this turn. And I'm summoning another 56 Ozelotls at the Steel Ovens this turn, on top of the 100 or so that I already have in the area. So I'll be able to fight much more confidently with the extra turns delay. Okay. So let's see if we have any interesting battles here. And we'll go back to the map, but I want to be careful how much time we're spending on these. Okay, yeah, see, nothing really happens. I spent 30 minutes scrolling around the map. So he had taken this throne from TNG. This is the Throne of Knowledge that big fight was on. He's taken this and put a Citadel of Power here. And he's on top of this fort. And basically there's nothing really at home. There's a bunch of stuff here. He probably doesn't see this. So this is the last of the TNG armies in the area. Otherwise he can actually march and potentially cap TNG. Yomi has a big army up here, so maybe he'll try to make another push or something. But he just evacuated this. I think it marched out of his cap after the Ritual of Returning business. So probably don't expect it to go seek out combat, actually. Lanka's moving into position. So Lanka's got a huge army here. We'll probably see a battle. He's going to probably one turn pop this fort this turn, and I expect we're going to see Micklin roll out. What's actually interesting is because this is locked down by Great Hawk, if Micklin wants to, they could go and just jump on it this turn and force a battle if Lanka rolls out. Micklin's not going to do that, right? Because that's going to expose him to a bunch of risks. Magic phase attacks, things like that he's probably not going to want to be exposed to. So I expect him to sit here and just see what Lanka brings and then decide to roll out or not. This is the big army at the in Waywoods that he was talking about. So it's going to pick which direction it goes in. And, you know, it's going to be a tough fight either way. I'll be interested to see what he does here. So, yeah, I think this is the main course coming up. This fight with Lanka, and then we're going to see this army move soon as well. So, where's the Steel Ovens? Right here. So, yeah, there's a ton of military power in this region. Okay, and with that, I think we'll go to the next turn. And we've got turn 76. So, more messages from Micklin. My scouting reports that TNG has stacks of about 20 mages, including some Celestial Masters. All right. He's getting Construction 8 this turn. He wants the Har Harmonica still available, so he'll probably be making that. Apparently, I just missed cracking both of the forts I moved on to last turn. This game really needs to show siege strength, moving on to a province with the Y shortcut. In other news, Tiernanog seems to have... Yeah, and I agree with that. That would be super nice. Tiernanog seems to have not put any PD in a bunch of land they took from Agartha. There's a good chance now that these elves are in those provinces, and I can't just grab them. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's... Seems like there's a good chance they're not. Who doesn't put any PD in there? A message from Micklin. I apparently brought slightly too little wait. Okay. I think we're just going to look at this and wait for the big battles. We should see the Micklin army rolling out this turn. Are the... So this is interesting. Lanka sends a golem in here. A thug killing golem is the only thing I can describe this as. But there's no thug. I don't know what he was trying to hit, but this... yeah. Tell me in the comments if you know Lanka. I don't know what that golem was trying to do. But the elves haven't attacked him. Why is he attacking the elves? That I don't... I don't really understand. I don't think he needs to fight the elves. Okay, so Micklin moved out. There could have been a big fight here. Like, Lanka could have rolled out and there could have been a big fight. But Lanka's got even more sacreds coming in. Look how big this army is. It's almost like 400 or 500 sacreds. That's wild. And then they've got reinforcements coming over this way too. There's no way. This is a lost cause trying to reinforce this position. And this army's staying still. Let's keep moving. All right, we've got, I believe, turn 77 now. No, 76. Wait, did we already do this? Yeah, okay, wait 1 second. All right, we've got the real turn 77 now. Message from Micklin. Gold's been very short these last few turns, but the successful scout rating of TNN has given me enough to build 2 labs I need this turn. And likely, I'll have to resort to alchemy if I need much more infrastructure. But hopefully this shouldn't be the final. This should be the final lab infrastructure I need in order to sustain my final offensive towards thrones. The throne east of the Throne of Knowledge is probably going to be the hardest to take, unless I can kill Tianqi's next army. Wait, to the east. I'm expecting him to have learned his lesson since last time, but I'm casting Wolven Winter and placing my Dione to do fast casting Wind of Death Trap. Ooh. Yeah, the fast casting Wind of Death Trap you actually can't block with Fog Warriors. If his army does do a predictable advance. An unfortunate scenario would be if Tianqi doesn't do anything and my Dione Golem gets stuck outside a lab with nothing to do. The big play this turn is threatening the Throne of Water. I'm bringing a substantial portion of the Waywoods army Sacreds via Fairy Trod to meet the Mage Corps from that army, and I've just moved to defend the Golden Throne area from Lanka and the forest outside the Throne of Water. I should have enough siege strength to crack the throne the turn after, even with Iron Walls. And hopefully a sufficiently overwhelming force that Tiernanog isn't able to muster defense. I've been a very bad boy with my Bone Readers. Only 1 out of 6 has been or very bad luck with Bone Readers. Only 1 out of 6 has been air random, which is the best type of Bone Reader most of the time. And he's getting a Har Harmonica to get more Wailing Winds casters. Very nice. Oh, and since it isn't visible to you, I don't know if the 2 Seeking Arrows killed anything, but the Fires from Afar hit 5 units, killing 3, presumably mages, and 2 disease demons. Alright, so he's going after the Tianqi Mage Corps. Lanka's Dakini Raiders are pretty annoying. I don't really have a good way to kill them without actually catching them wherever they're going. That means he doesn't have great magic phase things to hit them. Like, I would think Horrors would work, but maybe not. Most of the throne row we've been fighting over is patrolled by quickened Aussies. That should kill any kind of thug, just as they did Lanka's Golem next turn. But I don't have enough of those to patrol most of the high-value territory, so I'll just have to endure some kind of raiding and hope I catch them. Okay. Let's see if we get anything interesting here. All right, so this, that's Yomi. Micklin going on top of a Gartha. Where is this? Is this an underwater fort? Yeah. Alright, so some water elementals. They're going to take their toll, but the Aussies will kill them. How many Aussies did they kill? 10 Aussies. Yeah, water elementals are good. Let's watch this again. I want to see how many water elementals he made. Three. Some Frozen Heartcast too. Yeah, man, if he had made more, if he filled these guys up with water elemental, like gems for water elementals, he might have killed them. Like, he might have won this battle. They're kind of stupid good. And we are denied yet again more battles. So this throne is under siege, and this army... Oh, so that's wild. So this is how he's going to go for throne victory. He's pushed through here. He was defending this, but Lanka is now sitting still, and he's gotten between Lanka and this throne, and Lanka literally won't be able to get to it in time. So this turn, he's going to move on top of this. He might have to fight the elves, but he's probably not even going to have to fight Lanka for this throne. And that means he only has to get one other throne. This is a really clever move. Because he, like, fast moved last turn from here to here, I believe. And because he controls this, you know, we know how that's going to go. Now, what we didn't see, and what Lanka was, Micklin was hoping to see, where was it? Wait, let me see where he said he was going to do it. Kill TNG's next army. Okay, so we're looking for a cold province from... Yeah, this is it. So he was hoping this army moved here and he laid a trap for it. But his fear ended up happening and the army didn't move. It's just standing still. So it looks like TNG's basically given up after that. You know, they were defensive in nature for like 20 turns. And then they ride out, they get completely smashed. They're like, yeah, we're not moving our armies around anymore. They're dealing with like post-traumatic stress the same way Grippa does and just sit in their fort. So that's that. Let's go to turn 78. And turn 78. And I believe at around this time, maybe a few turns before, Yomi proposed just calling the game in Micklin's favor. And they're like, yeah, let's do that. And then they're like, no, let's play it out more. So that's one of the reasons I'm kind of going through these turns kind of quickly. TNG hit Province 17 with 2 flames from the sky last turn. My losses were quite modest, largely because I geared everyone important to endure it. And most of my Nahuli in turkey form are in turkey form so that they'd survive a single hit. So I'm down 1 Rain Priest with water boosters, 4 Nahuli, a Micklin Priest, a Starshine Skullcap, and unfortunately about 50 gems that had been on gem mules that I'd probably forgotten to manage carefully. I do have an adventurer with 18 hit points built in, Cold Resistance, who's been my main gem mule for that army, but he got left behind in the push forward, so those gems were just on scouts. Unfortunately, the Coalition can probably afford to do that every single turn, so I'm going to be limited in how many armies I can field anywhere near the TNG borders by gear availability. Rest in peace, Agartha. May their pretender never be raised from the dead as Tart and forced to wear pants. I'm excited to have access to another source of water mages. It may be important for how quickly I can regenerate any defeated armies. The She-Lord who took the province south of the Throne of Water last turn is kind of amazing. 20 defense without any gear despite having 4 afflictions including blind. It's kind of funny. TNG Celestial Soldiers in 30 stayed put last turn, which means the 2 seeking arrows I shot at the province killed the commander who was ferrying them towards the front. because they're really slow. My hope is this might delay TNG's army moving forward. This turn's particularly difficult. I would ideally move major siege armies onto the Crystal Throne, the Throne of Water, and what I think is the Throne of Gaia. Yomi's throne east of the Throne of Knowledge that way. I just need to win 2/3 of the battles to win the game, but I think only the Throne of Water might be out of range of Flames from Sky bombardment, and my army near the Throne of Gaia is basically 100% afflicted troops after the TNG bombardment. So there's a lot of difficult decisions to make about where to allocate my mage gear, and also whether to try for the Throne of Gaia at all. I have about 700 siege strength in my army. That's probably getting bombarded again, so I need to figure out if some combination of Crumble, Great Eagles, and/or reinforcements can let me crack the fort's expected 2k siege strength, Iron Walls plus Wizard Tower, before the next TNG army can arrive. I'm not very optimistic about winning a major battle in the region, especially now that all my troops are seriously afflicted from doom from doom and flames from the sky. I'm pretty optimistic about the Throne of Water, at least. Okay. And if you guys want to read these, I'm kind of going through them quickly because there's not a lot of action. I don't want to just... If I just read Micklin messages, it's going to literally be like a book on tape. And I know everybody has loved the Micklin messages, so I feel bad like speeding through them, but here's where we are. You can pause and just read it if you want to. Hitting the Lanka blood economy with horrors. So Lanka rolls out, and he is marching towards... Micklin army was here, Lankan army was here. The Micklin army was between Lanka and the throne. The Micklin throne. Well, the Micklin army went to go grab this other throne owned by the elves. And Lanka isn't chasing them. Lanka is pushing towards this other throne, which they were originally threatening. And so this is the army. Yeah. Got a lot of things. Not sure what all spells are going to be cast. We'll just see in the actual combat. But, you know, notably has a golem. It's got this person protected from thugs and assassins. So cool. Or maybe an assassin herself, even. Micklin rolling out. All right. And, yeah. So, we haven't... Let's go take a look around. I don't really... These Dakini Raiders he was talking about, I think we've seen, like, 1 or 2. I haven't... Yeah, I don't know. So, but this is the problem. So this fort has been popped. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of strength in this Lankan army. But this fort's also popped. So now he's got to storm it. He almost... Oh, he was patrolling here. So there was a chance that Micklin could have tried to lock this army in this fort. But he didn't. So, but yeah, he made a lab here the previous turn so he could re-equip this army to be ready to take this. And that's basically what we're going to see. So he's going to probably fight TNN on the outside and then storm. Over here, he's on top of this throne, this Yomi throne. But it's got a bajillion, like, wall integrity. So it's going to be a hot minute before he gets through that. And then this army is in range of TNG nuking. So I think this is the one he's like, I don't know about this. He probably said this, the Throne of Gaia. Was this in his message? Yeah, the Throne of Gaia. Okay. So I think this one he's got cold feet about. But you can see he's summoned some Great Eagles here. He's probably going to ferry them over here and try to help them help. But he's not going to do like a combined siege. So he's probably pulled a decent number of the mages out, like any non-critical mages and some of the lower HP troops. And he's just going to let the flyers, like the heavy lifters, do the sieging. TNG's created another pretty big doom stack here. I think ideally they would like take this and fort it, like Magic Face fort it, move the army here, and then get ready to like start taking these from Micklin. A lot of this is chaff though; it's vampire chaff. So I don't actually think this army is going to be able to beat Micklin's, but they've got a couple turns to get them off that throne. The other throne they're trying to get presumably is going to be this one from Lanka, which this one Lanka can't really defend. So he's not going after this TNG throne. Basically, he's getting all the thrones in his column he needs to win except this one. And instead of that one, he's primarily going for this one by the elves. But as a backup, he's slow sieging that one, the Throne of Gaia. So that's basically what's happening. And with that, let's go forward to the next turn, turn 79. And turn 79. Message from Micklin. If all goes well, this may be the last real turn, though I don't think it likely. Lanka has almost 1,500 siege strength, not even counting the bonus from Turmoil 3, sieging my empty citadel next to the Golden Throne. Well, we'll do this, because this might be one of the last real messages. I was surprised that the Coalition didn't take further steps to stop a throne victory, given the forces I can see. Lanka's reinforcement army of Rakshasa warriors appears to be unable to join a battle outside of the Crystal Throne. And if he gateways them in, they're likely to have weak leadership and thus be vulnerable to my surprise wailing winds. TNG could have marched out of the Throne of Fire to strike at the Crystal Throne. Instead, they're likely going to be limited to throwing flames from the sky at my prepared army. And TNG's other army appears to have been scared off by my Dione trap into not moving. He's kind of coming up with a lot of complicated explanations. I think it's really just the simple explanation that he's basically got the game bagged now. It's another reason I've kind of been skimming through the messages. He's kind of overthinking a little bit of the end game, because I think people are ready to just let him have it. He's won the game. We do have a message here from Tiernanog. Well, here we go. I got a bunch of assassins with big air elementals trying to disrupt commanders and reduce the force coming in from the Throne Fort. And every magic phase capable mage teleporting in for the defense. If all goes well, I should have about 400 Thunderstrike casters, a Storm Staff, and a backup Storm caster inside, plus a few other odds and ends. Lanka is going to try to magic phase to take out reinforcements. So if I can hold off out on that throne, we might have a chance. Guess we will have to see. Glad to have been here. Hope it's been a fun game to watch. Sergeant Flintlock. Cool. Okay. Well, yeah, so Tiernanog hasn't really given up. They're going to be doing a last stand here, but I think TNG's given up. I think that's basically, yeah, there's no TNG movement here. But let's take a look. So we have Horror Attack against Tiernanog. That is so crazy. God, horrors are so fucking good. Look at this. Kills those she-warriors, no problem. No problemo. Lanka, this I believe is a magic phase on top of the throne that, oh no. Alright. We've got a little bit of skeletons in front, some Aussies in the back, and a big pile of quickened, very freaking angry. I mean, Lanka must win this, right? Yeah, of course they do. Alright, so they ruined this. Where is that? That is right here. So they have cut off the retreat route for Micklin, but the question is, does Micklin get the throne? Because the retreat route doesn't matter if they get the throne. I think we know what's going to happen here. Oh, Wind of Death and Run. Very cool. So, gets one of the adepts of the Golden Order. I mean, takes a pretty hefty toll here on the mages. I'd say definitely worth it. So, Yomi still kicking a little bit. Signs of Life. Micklin attacks Lanka here. I don't remember which fort this is of Lanka's. Oh, this is his throne that we said he couldn't defend. So this is... Oh, and then they run. How did they run? This is Micklin getting one of the thrones they need to win. They need to get 2 thrones this turn to win this turn. And the other one is going to be from the elves. But this one that we were saying there's not really a chance he could defend. I think, did they just fail a morale check instantly? Because there's still demonic leadership. Yeah, they just got really unlucky with the morale check. That's crazy. Okay. And here's the battle against Tiernanog. This is, if... We'll watch this in slow. There's a ton of mages that have Cloud Trapezed in. making a bunch of air elementals. Air elementals can do things against Aussies, but you need a tremendous amount of them for this many Aussies, because they'll just get deleted on sight. Like, where are all the air elementals? There's 2 here. They summoned a lot more than 2. There's 2 here. There's a few here. Yeah, Will of Fates. They're big. Fog Warriors, now the air elementals don't even matter. Is there demonic cleansing? I don't think they have that research yet. Yeah, the Aussies have gotten through the gate. There's a chance maybe if you held them here and you just smacked them with Thunderstrike right here, and you had some chaff generation enough to keep the Aussies at bay, could maybe work, but you have Wailing Winds and Rigor Mortis. You're not going to be able to keep casting through that. It's a it's a no-win scenario. What do they call it in Star Trek? I don't know. But yeah. All those mages, and they kill 3 turkeys and a Nahuli. Oh no, 4 Nahuli. And 4 slingers. It's not a good ROI. Yeah, you need some troops. If they had troops to clog the gate, if they had relief up, if they had demonic cleansing, they could have done it, but they didn't have all those things. So they can't do it. Just, applause to Tiernanog for giving us a good final fight. But they just didn't have the research or the tools they needed at this time to handle that army. And I mean, who would have expected it? I was not expecting. I was expecting him to go for the that other TNG throne, but he decided to go after this Tiernanog one. And I believe that's it. That is the game. Let's go ahead and pull up the last turn. And we have the last turn. Message from Micklin. Tickets are on sale now for the show of the century. Get your seats and watch the ascension of the Flying Jaguar Circus to godhood. Playing at the throne nearest you. Get your tickets while they last. Anyone who misses one of our monthly shows hereafter will spend the next month in a personal hell. Like being forced to wear 3 pairs of pants at Kmart. That's funny. We've arrived at the same joke. Later messages will cover my thought on the game, map, coalition experience overall, but this message will cover tactical events invisible to you. The main surprise in the ritual phase was I didn't get flames from the sky cast to me at all this turn. In 51, Tiernanog scripted 15 assassinations with ungeared banshees, each to summon, with 2 air jumps to summon a big air elemental. Only 4 out of 15 survived, but he managed to kill 2 scouts of Mound King, 3 turkeys, claiming 2 slave matrices, and a handful of troops. Assassins are dangerous, but without Pokemon gear, they're very beatable. This turn, geared mages with armor, increasing HP items, gems, 5 bodyguards, won 10 out of 10 engagements with air elemental assassins. My Windmaster almost died, being left with 4 HP. Lanka's surprise magic attack on disrupted phase attack on 38 disrupted the replacement communion slaves I was moving in to replace assassin losses. If Tiernanog had fought a long battle, or a battle long enough to burn gems outside the fort, despite the Temitzels, my communion would have burned out in the outer battle, leaving those spells needed to cast to go off inside not to happen. Fog Warriors, Rigor Mortis. Okay. I've been keeping Province 17... Frosty with Wolven Winter, basically threatening TNG with another murdering winter bone grinding play if he advances. I'm a bit surprised he didn't counter this by start casting Breath of the Desert on the province, and whether he's going to move his army, and on whatever province he's going to move his army to. Yomi's Wind of Death move play was excellent. He killed a bunch of heavily geared mages that are hard to replace. It's possible he's been able to push me off the throne by repeating the play. I don't have an easy answer for him doing some version of that, backed by Storm of Staffs. Every turn until that army runs out. I mean, he kind of has things he can do. Like, he can do, especially there's no, like, Ring of Returning, he can do Life for Life. Some may feel Yumi's helpless in the late game, but late game Dominions is not about just having the best sacred troops. For example, Lanka's army of 17 morale demons defending the Crystal Throne routed on turn 3 before Blood Rain had even gone up. Attacking into Cold 3 scales where one army's might encounters a Super Combatant or Wailing Winds or Blood Rain or Bone Grinding or Murdering Winder or Wind of Death felt pretty scary, even with the horde of Aussies and my mages geared to the teeth with the power of the Steel Evans. Apparently, Lanka has messed up his gym logistics and was intimidated by my fake army at 1 into excessive caution with his Titanic army. Both in not sending at least a token force to storm the Citadel, and in not moving 1,500 siege strength onto the throne. Had he moved onto it, he'd have fought 6 PD, 2 magic duelers, and a golem with a storm staff scripted to do doom in returning. My plan for victory had been to see if I could push Lanka off the Golden Throne on the turn you receive this, reinforcing my army with 70 new Aussies, plus another 20 Sacreds that had been patrolling. He's going to do a demonstration battle outside the fort, so we should see that this turn. And, yeah, let's take a look. We'll watch that battle here now. So we got a big old pile of Lankans here. Versus what I think can only be described as a somewhat motley crew of Aussies. They're outnumbered like 5-1. We've got the demonic cleansing up, no? But we do have rigor mortis. Who's cast at a lich? So that's probably, I'm guessing, Micklin. Hard to say how this is going exactly. These guys are pretty tough. They don't have... They're really just not getting hit very much. Solar Brilliance is up. And the Aussies are killing their weight in dudes, but they are slowly attritioning down. They die a lot faster where you can see the Rakshasa warriors. These, like, quickened dudes that, these don't seem to be killing them as quickly for whatever reason. I mean, they hit really hard. I don't know what it is. But the battle report will tell probably differently. Let's see. These guys got 66 kills. Oh, these guys got more. So they were more killing, but it's hard to know. Well, they're probably killing Aussies. And there are other things in here, too. Hard to know what they were killing exactly. They certainly kill chaff faster. I was thinking these things probably killed more Aussies, but hard to know for certain. There's only 60 Aussies, but there's a lot of kills for these guys to split between them. But yeah, Lanka won, but lost a ton of stuff. So that was the cool demonstration battle. While I've been in the lead for much of the game, I feel like I snowballed to victory. It might feel like I snowballed to victory. That's arguably a fair description given how few casualties my armies took all game, but from my standpoint, fighting the early coalition was incredibly challenging, and I was often barely able to gather the tools to hit research targets needed to win major engagements, and I was frequently one major defeat away from ruin. Yeah, I mean, even just like Tianqi not rolling out, I think when they should have, was like fortunate, but also like just very precarious. Like that's how close the situation was kind of dangling by a thread. I think starting about 5 turns ago, which may have, with my having forged enough 95 blood sets, boosters for Reign of Jaguars, access to enough independent mages for recruitment, I'm being able to make a new major army every 4 turns or so. But if one of my armies had been wiped, like 10 turns back, I'd have struggled to field a similarly strong army to replace it so quickly. As a side note, while I originally expected to make Jaguar Warriors all game, I haven't recruited any troops in like 20 turns, just buying unique mages, labs, temples, forts. I stretched my gold income every single turn. Meanwhile, my 3 expeditionary armies attacking the final throne has like 80 to 120 Aussies each, with maybe another 100 scattered between smaller squads patrolling my logistics networks for raiding, which have been invaluable for killing thugs. I'll end this game having failed to collect my rumored 800 Aussies. Smiley face. Yeah, there we go. The thing Ballin said at like turn 20, like, isn't true by turn 80. There's lies, there's damn lies, and there's Ballin statistics. On the map, I really enjoyed this map and would be happy to play another game on it. The Mountain Arena meta feels very different than a normal map nuke meta, and that's a good thing. But it felt like there are similarly interesting variants as playing Hellenica or Netchin to me. I don't feel I fully understand it, but here's a few thoughts. While Doom stacks are important, it's also important being able to move between fronts in response to changing diplomacy or military priorities. As a result, map move abilities are extra powerful. Miklin's force survival was incredibly useful, as were Turkey flying mages. And I had like 10 flying boots and 10 boots of the messenger and 5 sets of 7-mile strides, rings of floating to move my mages around. And it still often didn't feel like enough to shuffle my mages to where I wanted them. Rating's a lot harder on this map. Due to the extensive rough terrain, map move 2 are very hard to do. Map move 2 attacks are very hard to do. And the ease of defending every likely province, I guess, is higher. Elf nations, as a result, feel weaker on this map. Assassins are extra dangerous, too. Scouting is also very hard. I think this is the first game where I did Magic Phase deep rating because I wanted free scouting reports on neighboring provinces. The other big quirk of the map is the fact that you end up with very safe inter-province mechanics that let you generate special resource income from your provinces. This includes blood hunting, but probably also things like Gift of Nature's Bounty and other types of national free spawn. Since the counterplay option to disrupting or killing those options, burning temples, etc., is very difficult to carry out without just having the power to conquer and occupy the territory for good. I tried to disrupt Lanka's horror spam with horror spam and his blood hunting operations, but it basically only managed to kill some patrol chaps, never the mages. One special case for that sort of thing is Dominion pressure, including temple spam. Because of the few outlets for one's territory, there's a lot more temple checks pushed in a concentrated fashion on a specific neighbor than is typical. So, for example, TNG with their high dom strength was pushing really hard against Yomi. The whole area between them had like 9 TNG candles. As a final thought, I think the map very much succeeded in its design goal. Dogpiling someone seemed to be impractical, but once the map launched an early mid-game coalition, they were able to present an extremely challenging environment for the coalition target. With major armies attacking into my land location so far apart that one needs 4 independent armies capable of beating another nation's doomstack to hold the 4 road thrones. And if you've got 4 of those armies, then that seems like a valid definition of victory. In this game, the coalition more or less immediately denied me access to all of the row thrones, while they were unable to invade my core lands or prevent my eventual conquest of Vanheim. And that's actually a really interesting point here, because if you think about it, like, here's a row which a throne is on. There's a throne here, and there's a throne here, and between it is like the column that, like, let's say Miklin's in. He would need 2 armies to defend each of the thrones, but he was able to kind of position one army in the middle and have it protect the core region, which was kind of what he did. Even so, when Yomi started throne rushing, I only controlled a single throne. Well, that's wild. And the thrones are pretty important. Even just the 3 crystal mages that escaped the crystal throne were instrumental in how I ended up playing the game. Site-searching 30-plus provinces for earth gems, forging several hammers, forging a dozen crystal items that powered my late-game armies, summoning my golems. Meanwhile, the 3 to 4 wind masters who escaped the Throne of Error were instrumental throughout the game as well. Overall, I think the coalition targets having trouble holding thrones is an excellent and desirable feature of this map's design. Thanks for creating the map and hosting the game. I had a blast. Cool. And we have victory. We'll look at the history here as we zoom out. And then I'll give you my thoughts on it. So first wars are about to be starting. We've got Lanka, and Lanka's already taken over Machaka here. And you can see they're fighting a little bit with the elves. Of course, Sarmatia is probably destroyed by this point as well. Yep. And now Miklin's conquering Niflheim from Vanheim and is moving over here to take Niflheim. Vanheim proper. But the coalition's moving in. He ceded this land over here to Yomi. The control of the columns, you can see, are like the rows that have the thrones. You can see is pretty much all owned by the coalition, as was pointed out, right? Like Yomi has a lot of them. And there's still a lot of back and forth here. This is between Lanka and Tirnanog, kind of like the little round 2 tussle. That's done. And yeah, we're here at the end. So yeah, I'll share my thoughts first on the game and then on the map. So Part of the purpose of hosting this game and casting it was I want to see how this map design would work, if it was maybe a more fun type of map to play on, and in some ways make changes to it so that we can have a better map than this. So we'll talk about that more in a second. For the players, though, I think there was a pretty high level of skill in the game. I think we saw a lot of really cool things. Some of the players fell into a bit of inaction, but that can happen, and even TNG stirred at the end. I think Micklin played amazing all game, and it kind of tested exactly what I wanted it to. Like it, there weren't a lot of like dog piles on the map at the beginning, but then there was a big coalition. But he just did a masterful job. He had high mage commitment for his first war. So did Lanka. Like, basically, the only two people to get caps early were people who did major mage mobilizations for their first war. I think pretty much everybody else stagnated out. I mean, even Vanheim, whose mages didn't do anything, he pulled a decent number of them for the first war. TNG also pulled a ton of mages for the first war. So, yeah. But yeah, he just played really aggressively. I think he had a really good build. It was really interesting with Micklin, seeing him take Barkskin. And yeah, I mean, he fought the coalition. I think that's the main thing. Like, he took really good fights. He identified weaknesses in the armies he was fighting and tried to exploit it every time. He tried to take whatever strategic, like, map level opportunities presented themselves to him. He was very conscious of like what scales he was fighting in against Lanka and against Yomi. Ultimately, him making that peace deal with Yomi, I think, was instrumental to the game. And then he rescued the game from ending with that crazy fairy trod business where he jumped on top of Yomi's armies. Yomi got really close to winning. So I think it was just great play. I think Yomi played really well. I would have liked to have seen them maybe not throne rush and just try to like conquer, because I feel like that's in the cards for them. But Micklin does scale better than Yomi by a good margin, so I can understand wanting to throne rush. But still, I would have liked to have seen it. Yeah, I think it was a really good game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I learned things about how to play Micklin better, and I think I can translate those to like other nations too. Like some of the lessons here. But yeah, I think it was an excellent game. I think Demosthenes played super well, and congrats to him, of course, for winning. And then congrats to all the players. Like, we had a really good crew of players in this game who stuck it out to the end. Hardly had to get any subs, from what I can remember. It's been a while now since the game ended. But yeah, just a really good crew of people to play with. And I think for the most part, there were like a couple kerfuffles in the game chat. I think they all had fun talking with each other and stuff too. So like, really cool crew of people, and hopefully they play a game together again or see each other in future Dominions games, because they all seemed like a pretty cool crew. Yeah, as for the map, I think there's some things I don't think I love. I think the rows were too restrictive. Like, it'd be nice to add another spot here. So I have basically a whole nother map drawn up, like a version 2 of this, which you can have more spacing here in the rows. Let me see if I can actually pull it up. All right, so this is the kind of redrawn version that I have. So in the previous version, basically what it was you had a bunch of like C-shaped cups, basically, that like went all in the same direction. So you expanded out this way, but you couldn't attack the guy over here. There's like a wall blocking you, right? And then this row beneath it would be the same C's, but turned in the other direction. So you could attack them. So there's two problems that really I think I'm going to fix in the next generation. One is the rows are too wide now, right? The second is that instead of these things being organized like, the C's going this way, the C's going this way, this next row is alternated. And what I've drawn here is basically the first war target paths. Now, of course, it's not just like that. Like, this guy could march all the way down here and around here and up here and attack this dude too if they wanted to, right? But these are like the closest neighbor first war targets. because one of the things you have to be really careful when you're doing like a layout like this is it's really easy for like one nation to have like 4 people that are really close to it, but another one to have 1 or 2 or something. And those are really different start positions, kind of not cool. The cool thing here is in this particular layout with them turned in these particular shapes, every nation has 2 nearest war neighbors, right? So that's cool. It's basically the same business. So for defending your core lanes, you really only have to be able to defend against like 2 people. The next thing is that they're arranged in like circuits, right? So if you conquer this guy, basically every time you conquer somebody, you get a new neighbor, right? Whereas like in the previous configuration, once you got a whole column, you're kind of like very insulated except for a few choke points to attack. Here, when you take new land, you open up like significantly, like if you were here and you conquer this guy, who's one of the closest people to you, well, you've now got a whole big swath of land here where people can kind of come in and attack you. Now, you can hold it just through 2 choke points, right here and right here, and then potentially right here. But especially if you start coming out here, you're going to start having a lot more surface area where people can mess with you. And, certainly these provinces could be negotiated. So if this guy really wanted to attack you, he could. Or if, like this guy comes over here, he could come and attack you. Anyway. It's a more open map design, but it still is somewhat restrictive. It makes for coalitions, I think, easier to form, and it makes for the diplomacy after the early game a bit more fluid. And basically, like if you were to draw this out, the same pattern on the map we just cast, you basically it goes in the columns, right? So you'd have 3 circuits that each go in the columns, and they're not connected. Well, there's only 2 circuits. And so anyway, it's way more nations in a circuit. And while you're kind of following that circuit around, this is 2 circuits. Yeah. So anyway, while you're following that circuit around, you're continuously adding more neighbors. So you never get to the point where you really like insulate yourself off. Especially since people can like it's actually not that hard for this guy to come up here and attack you. Like this is a real border. So, I'd be interested to test this. If we do another one of these maps and cast it, this is probably the map layout that it will be. I know iFlight, if you want to go to my Discord, you can look in the Anti-Dogpile map thread. iFlight has a map there too. That's kind of cool. It's pretty different layout to this. It's like way different, but people seem to like that one a lot too. But I think to me that this game also like kind of proves the proof of concept about like, yeah, you can have like, maybe way cooler diplomacy. So I probably need to make this map at some point. If you want to do it as well, you can do it with the map nuke tool. It's not that hard. But it probably takes like 4 or 5 hours just because all the editing you have to do after map nuke stuff. So, yeah. We'll be excited to see if this version's better, because this version might have other problems. The other thing, too, is the C shapes are more open in this. Like before, it was basically a full C, and then you had this like mountain pass and river pass that were up here at the front. And now it's going to be a full open, right, where you have 3 provinces that are fully open and a mountain pass and a river pass on the sides. So that's the thinking. Yeah. I don't think I have too much more to add. Thank you all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the series. If you did, write me a little note in the comments. And for the next series, I'm not sure what's going to come up. I think it might be... I've got some ideas. I'll tell you what we've got potentially coming up. Got the tournament finals we started casting. That probably won't be coming up for another at least 2 months, is my guess. We're going to wait till that gets to turn 50 before I start putting episode 1 up. I've got a game with Demosthenes, who's the Micklin player here, where he's playing Cold Raga, and he's got a really cool take on Cold Raga and how to play it. So that's going to be coming up. I've also got another game where I built everybody in the game's Pretender, and I didn't do it to like, hey, this is a lock, stock, standard build. I did crazy shit, but not crazy bad. They were all like wild, off the cuff builds. The game is called Your Dreams, My Memes. And that's going to be pretty cool. So that might be the one that comes up next. I haven't finished recording it, so I need to go do that. But that'll be a fun one. I had a lot of fun making the builds. I think people had fun playing them, though people were a little bit upset with some of the decisions I made. But no, everybody took it in good humor. It was a lot of fun. So with that, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in future videos. Until then, take care.